My bitch drive a all white rank. Couldn't hit it if you niggas had aim. Lanes can't call and you lame. You had it and you lost it, all the shame. I can buy a Billy, don't talk to me. For a show 150, don't talk to me.
Going into this season, Damian Lillard was viewed as a very good player, but not a great one. He was a player that was just borderline elite, not at the levels of a Steph Curry or a Russell Westbrook, or some people may argue a Chris Paul and also a Kyrie Irving. Damian Lillard was just lower on the totem pole than those guys, especially when you consider the fact that he lost in the first round to an Anthony Davis-led team without Boogie Cousins. And not only did they lose, because honestly I don't think that was the biggest problem, because they could have lost in a pretty hard-fought series that went to 7 or 6 games, but Damian Lillard played terrible and they were swept. He shot below 40% from the field, and what makes matters worse is that when you have teammates such as Aminu stepping up in some games, and even Nurkic stepping up in some games, and CJ McCollum, who played excellent throughout the entire series, it was just not a good look on the leader of that team in Damian Lillard, especially when you consider that he went on a campaign saying that he was overlooked and he was slept on and underrated and he should make an All-NBA appearance and an All-Star appearance. It was just not a great look for Damian Lillard. But this year, Damian Lillard put up the great numbers as usual, but going into the postseason, a lot of people viewed him and his team as the underdog, especially when you consider that Nurkic, who was widely considered their third best player, suffered a season-ending injury a few weeks before the postseason even began. And going into that series, they were the underdogs, and the Oklahoma City Thunder were the prohibited favorites, and Damian Lillard beat that team in 5 games. Honestly, let me not disrespect the Portland Trailblazers, because other players did step up, Enes Kanter, CJ McCollum, Mo Harkless in Game 4, and even baby brother Curry. Seth Curry hit some really clutch shots for them down the stretch and even earlier in the games, just to keep the games close from time to time and to provide some consistency off the bench. So I don't want to make it look as if Damian Lillard was the solo act, but in Game 5, it was clear that Damian Lillard was going to make a statement in that game and said, nah, they're not going to win this game, and he hit one of the most savage shots in NBA history.
Lillard, long range 3, and it's good! At the buzzer! Damian Lillard! Are you kidding me?
On one of the best defenders in the NBA, arguably the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year in some people's eyes, Paul George. So where does Damian Lillard rank in the NBA? In my opinion, I don't think he's a top 10 player, but I definitely think top 15 and around that 12 to 13 mark is definitely where Damian Lillard ranks. I believe he's better than Russell Westbrook. I believe he's better than Paul George even. I believe Damian Lillard is just outside of the top 10, but I believe Damian Lillard could potentially climb higher. That is why I believe that Damian Lillard could potentially be the biggest winner of the entire postseason. But before we go any further with this video, you guys, make sure you drop a like down below, comment your opinions down below, and also make sure you follow me on Twitter. The links for my social media will be down below in the description box. But back to the video at hand. Damian Lillard against the Oklahoma City Thunder put up sensational numbers and was great from start to finish, as he averaged 33 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, and also 4 rebounds, while shooting very efficiently from the field at 46%, as well as 48% from 3 and around 84 to 85% from the free throw line. Damian Lillard was sensational on the offensive side of the ball, and like I stated earlier, in Game 5 was unstoppable and dropped a 50-point game, something that even LeBron James had not done yet until last year in the NBA Finals. Yes, not that many players can drop 50 points in the playoffs, but Damian Lillard did it in a closeout game and hit the walk-off buzzer beater. Damian Lillard, I think, solidified that he is one of the most clutch players in the NBA with that shot alone. So I definitely think that Damian Lillard, his stock and his legacy definitely took a leap with just that one shot alone. And when you consider the fact that Damian Lillard as well as Michael Jordan have 2 playoff walk-offs in their careers, and Damian Lillard did that in a 5-year stretch, that definitely makes you appreciate what Damian Lillard did in the series in that game winner. even more. But as you look at what Damian Lillard not only did with the game winner, but in that series, he shows that he deserves to be mentioned in the conversations with the Kyrie Irvings, the Chris Pauls, the Russell Westbrooks, and even the Steph Currys. Now, I think Steph Curry is in a different tier. I think he's in a tier on his own, but I definitely do think that Damian Lillard and Kyrie Irving, they're not too far off behind of Steph Curry in terms of the point guard ranking. I believe Kyrie Irving is second, and I definitely do believe after this series, Damian Lillard has overtaken Russell Westbrook as the third best point guard in the NBA. And honestly, I think Damian Lillard has a chance to be labeled as the second best point guard in the league when all things are said and done in the postseason. Especially when you consider the fact that Damian Lillard and Kyrie Irving are entering the second round of the playoffs, and Kyrie Irving's play in the first round really was not that impressive. Sure, you could say he shot well from 3 and from the field, 42 to 43%. That really isn't that bad. But when you consider the fact that in 3 out of the 4 games in the sweep, he shot below 40% from the field, and the closeout game in game 4 shot around 30% from the field, that is something that you have to consider. And against an inferior Indiana Pacers team, missing their best player, who is an All-NBA defender in Victor Oladipo, who knows how that series could have gone down. Not saying that the Indiana Pacers would have won, but I definitely think they could have gotten a game or 2, or even potentially take the Boston Celtics to 7 games and maybe even upset them. That's how impactful I think Victor Oladipo is to that roster and organization. But if I'm going to criticize Kyrie for the lack of efficiency that he showed in that series, I am still going to give him props. He did show up in game 2 shooting over 50% from the field in a win, and in the clutch, basically in all 4 games, he did show up. I'm not going to take anything away from Kyrie because when he needed to show up, he showed up and he showed out. And Damian Lillard also did the same, and not only did he show up in the fourth quarters, not only did he show up in the clutch moments, but he also balled in other moments where the game wasn't on the line, such as game 2 where they won by 20 points and he dropped 29 points, 6 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and shot 47% from the field, 50% from 3 as well. So I definitely think that that's more than what you could say for Kyrie Irving. Now, I'm not going to say that Kyrie Irving is lesser than Dame. I'm not going to say Dame's better than Kyrie because it is just one series, and the Indiana Pacers, they are a really good defensive team, as well as the Oklahoma City Thunder. But like I said, one series is just one series. But going forward, if Damian Lillard can make it to the Western Conference Finals, which is definitely possible, and I'll elaborate on that later, and Kyrie Irving does not perform well against the Milwaukee Bucks and they go down in an embarrassing way, I definitely think that we need to consider if Damian Lillard is the second best point guard in the NBA, especially when you consider the fact that they're both in different conferences, and Damian Lillard is in the West and he led his team to over 50 wins with limited help on his roster in comparison to Kyrie Irving, who is in the Eastern Conference with a load of amount of talent on his team. Players such as Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, Marcus Smart. That is more than enough for him to at least win 50 games. But if you look at the fact that in the Western Conference, their record wouldn't even make the playoffs. And if you combine that with the fact that Damian Lillard could potentially make the Western Conference Finals, I believe that should be more than enough evidence for us to say that Damian Lillard is the second best point guard in the league. Now, some people may be saying, how can they make the Western Conference Finals? Well, the Portland Trail Blazers are very lucky. They're the 3rd seed, and they are on the side of the bracket opposite of the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. So the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets, they are going to be battling to see who's going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. And when you consider that the next series is going to be either San Antonio, which I definitely think is winnable considering that San Antonio's primary weaknesses are 3-point shooting and defense, and that is very easy to exploit, especially in today's NBA. I definitely think that is a winnable series for the Portland Trail Blazers, or it could be the Denver Nuggets. And I think the Denver Nuggets are very vulnerable just simply due to the lack of playoff experience. This is a team that is very easy to exploit. This is their first year in the playoffs. Jokic first year, Murray first year, Gary Harris first year, and sure, they're going to go through the first round, but that first round matchup is going to be a 7-game series. They could be tired. Who knows if someone gets hurt in that 7th game? Not saying it's going to happen, God forbid that something happens in that game, but I definitely think you have to consider all the variables. The Portland Trail Blazers will be rest up, and like I said, the gap between both teams offensively, sure, you could say that the Denver Nuggets offensively are clearly better, But like I said, they lack experience, and in the playoffs, that's one of the easiest things you can exploit. And a lot of those players have been very, very inconsistent, which shows their lack of playoff experience in playoff basketball. So I definitely think that when you look at the situation that the Portland Trail Blazers are in, that is going to heavily help Damian Lillard get to the Western Conference Finals potentially. And I'll even take it a step further. If the Houston Rockets can upset the Golden State Warriors, the chances for the Portland Trail Blazers to make the finals go up drastically, because I don't think they're going to beat the Golden State Warriors. I think we all know that. But if they can beat the Houston Rockets and Damian Lillard can upset the Houston Rockets, because yes, it would still be an upset, and I would favor Houston, as I think the star power alone in Houston with James Harden, Chris Paul, and Clint Capella, as well as Eric Gordon if you want to throw him in there, that should be more than enough to overpower the Portland Trail Blazers. But we have seen crazier things before, and James Harden, we know he is a choke artist. It's in his blood, it's in his genes. So if that happens and they go to the finals, not only are we talking about Damian Lillard being better than Kyrie Irving, but I think we need to have a discussion if Damian Lillard is not only the best point guard in the league, but if he's a top 5 player in the NBA. Yes, it is that serious if Damian Lillard can get to the NBA Finals. But in conclusion, Damian Lillard could be the biggest winner of the entire league this postseason when it's all said and done. Shout out to Dame, because he has definitely exceeded expectations already. And if he can find a way to get to the Western Conference Finals, not only should we reevaluate where he ranks among the best point guards in the league, but we need to reevaluate where he ranks among the best players in the league as well. Y'all make sure you drop a like down below, hit the bell to be notified after each and every video, after you hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Also, you guys make sure you follow me on Twitter. Those links are down below in the description box. Comment your opinions if you agreed with what I said about Dame or disagreed. Let me know down below in the comment section. Y'all have a great day. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Peace.